Coming up, I'll tell you why the 8-hour workday is a myth, and then the latest on the interest rate hike. And you know we're going to break down more for you as we go into our coaching session. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go. Coaching you to get a competitive edge so that you're making more money and experiencing more meaning at work. In other words, I'm the guy to help you make more income and more impact. Let's get to it. All right, so I want to take this on. Now, this show title, the 8-hour workday, is a total myth. If I were to just leave that out there, Alex, you would have a bunch of people taking on different sides, right? They would immediately read that one way, and someone would read it another way. So let's just let the air out of the balloon, shall we? The idea that that work is done neatly in 8 hours is a silly notion, right? For a couple reasons. Let's just talk about behavior. So I'm not talking about opinion, right? I'll get to that in a second. I've got an opinion. You know it. I'll share it. However, the idea that, 8-hour workday, that's nice and neat and buttoned up. Okay, let's just look at the facts that you have a lot of people who work more than 8 hours, right? You're supposed to work a 40-hour week. Some of you aren't paid for overtime if you're not an hourly employee. And so you'll end up working more than 40 hours anyway. So the 8-hour workday kind of gets blown up from that standpoint. Now here's the other way. How many people actually work 8 hours? Yeah, right. Nobody does. Nobody works just a neat little 8-hour day. So the whole idea is nonsensical. Let's break it down. Research shows that 89% of workers, 89% of workers admit to wasting time at work. The average amount of time Americans waste at work every day is 2.9 hours. So I'm not bashing you. I'm not shaming you. I'm enlightening you. These are the facts. Roughly 47% of American workers, by the way, that comes from every workday, the source of that data. Another study from Zippia. Roughly 47% of workers say they surf the internet, and 45% are distracted by social media during the workday. Duh. The 8-hour workday wasn't actually a thing until August 20th of 1866, when the National Labor Union demanded Congress to mandate it, so Congress did. Then 7 years later, the union dissolved. So what we've got here is this idea that, well, we've got a traditional 8-hour workday, and then you multiply that times 5, and that's where we get our 40-hour work week. Now, why am I bringing all this up? I'm bringing it up because the world at work is shifting so quickly beneath our feet that it really is important for you, the worker, and those of you who lead workers, because I have a broad audience, and I think we got to pay attention to this. If we look at how we measure production, then I think we have to look at the origin of what we use to measure. So we go, well, I want someone in the office 40 hours a week. And by the way, I'm not in any way disagreeing with those of you who think everybody needs to be back in the office. Can I just go? Dave Ramsey's one of them. All right. My leader, Dave Ramsey, thinks everybody needs to be in the office and you need to do your 40 hours. I'm not disagreeing with Dave. What I'm doing here is I'm looking at what really is involved when we lead people and how we measure people that we lead. So you can't make it all about the 40 hours. You can't make it all about the 8-hour workday. That's what I'm saying. So whether you're in favor of remote work, which is all remote, or you're in favor of in-person work, which is all in the office, or you're in favor of what's called the hybrid model, which is the employees work some days remote and some days in the office. None of that matters. But I will tell you that leaders and management, you've got a whole lot of adjusting and adapting that you need to do because of what's happening in the world of work right now and because of what people are expecting and people are demanding and people are receiving. Okay? Flexibility, flexibility, flexibility. Okay, let me say that again. Hey, leaders, if you want to know what you're going to have to deal with and what workers want, I'm going to say it again. Here are the top 3 things. Flexibility. 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 Do you get it? Have I made it clear enough? Now, flexibility can look different in your company, okay? I will tell you that Ramsey Solutions, we're all in the building, but we are flexible. We have good leaders who care about people. When things have to be dealt with, they can be dealt with here. So again, I'm not espousing a particular model today because I will sit here and tell you that all 3 models can work. I've got friends who have an all-remote company and they're crushing it. I've got friends who run a company, who runs a very successful company, who's got a hybrid model. And then Ramsey Solutions is very successful, and we're all in the building, have been for a long time. Now, here's what I'm getting at. The 8-hour work day, which then led to the 40-hour work week, which is now being challenged all over the place, right? We're looking at 4-day work week models all over Europe. We've got American companies that have tried it. In fact, we got a guest coming up soon on the show who actually did it in her agency, and she went back. And so we're going to break that down. So it's here. And by the way, it's here to stay. You're going to see a 4-day work week being adopted more and more. I'm just telling you. But whether it's a 4-day work week, 5-day work week, 40 hours, 3 hours, it doesn't matter. Here's what leaders, I want you to hear this. And those of you who aren't leaders yet, and you're trying to win, catch this. All of this is cultural and all of this is systemic. And leaders fall prey to focusing on measuring the wrong things. And it is not about the hours we work. It is about the results we deliver. I know, right? That was huge, right? Unbelievable depth I'm dropping here today. I mean, the brilliance that just came out of my mouth shocks me. I'm being sarcastic. And yet we don't lead this way. And we see companies have failed to see what's really going on. That you are measuring people and holding people accountable more about the hours that they work and where they work as opposed to the results that they produce. At the end of the day, if you talk to any CEO and you say, let's remove all of the rules and all the things, if you guys are crushing it from a missional standpoint, meaning driving profits and a healthy culture, do you really care how it gets done? And most CEOs would go, well, no, I really don't. And yet we don't act that way. It's about production, not punching a clock. It doesn't matter. You know, my first job, by the way, I worked at a greenhouse, and I had the old school card where you would bring it in and you would stick it in this little slot, and it would go do something like that, and I'd pull it out, and you literally clocked in, clocked out. But that is a mentality that is still alive in the corporate world. And so for those of you who are understanding what I'm really getting at here is you need to be doing work that you really, really love so that you're not worried about all of the minutes of the day and you're focused on results and you're driving results. And the fact is you're driving results better, bigger, faster, regardless of how much time you work. So leaders, here's my challenge to you. Focus on the rhythm of the work, the rhythm of the results, not the rules. Rules make me break out in hives. Leaders, it's about rhythms of your culture, rhythms of the individuals on your team and their results. Coming up next, we'll break down the next Fed rate hike.
According to Glassdoor, the average job offer attracts over 250 applicants. If you've made it to the interview, you've already made a great impression. So now is the time to showcase how you are the best choice for the role. That's why we created How to Win the Interview. This free guide will walk you through the 5 strategies to help you stand out amongst the competition. With just some intentionality, you can prepare yourself to win the interview. Go to kencoleman.com/interview.
Of the people, by the people, for the people. That's who I am. Ken Coleman here, your coach. I want you to think for just a second about the last time you interacted with a really pushy, obnoxious salesperson. You remember that? There we go. We got the indigestion rate up pretty quickly. Well, that's not how we sell at Ramsey Solutions. We sell by serving. How does that work? Well, I've teamed up with Ramsey Career Academy to launch a brand new course called Sales 101. And a quick little nugget here, Ramsey Career Academy is our answer, and I'm driving this with our team at Ramsey Ed to offer upskilling opportunities for you, the people. I'm a man of the people, so I got to give you people something to win with. So this is what we're doing. Sales 101, our next cohort to go along with Project Management 101, which is a wild success. Chris Campbell is our Ramsey Solutions Senior Vice President and an expert in sales, world-class salesperson who now hires and trains our salespeople. And he and I have teamed up to teach you how to maximize your ability to serve well through selling, get noticed, and win big. Spots are limited. Don't wait to apply. You do have to apply. But tell them you heard about it on the Ken Coleman Show. Go to RamseySolutions.com/sales course. That website again, RamseySolutions.com/sales course. You'll be glad you did that. All right, let's get to the latest on that poor doofus. I was going to say lovable, but I can't honestly say I love him. I'm very put out with Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed. I think he was asleep at the switch, and now he's trying to overcorrect, and he's going about it the wrong way. Some of you go, well, Ken, when did you get involved in politics? Well, first of all, I'm a citizen, so I've always been involved. Secondly, this is not political. I'm not talking about Democrats, and I'm not talking about Republicans. And if I do talk about Democrats and Republicans, I criticize them both. I'm an equal opportunity offender. I'll tell you if you're wrong, I don't care how you vote. I really don't. My job is to inform you people. You hear me? I'm a man of the people. So I'll let you vote how you want to vote. I'm never going to tell you how to vote, but I'm going to tell you what I think. And I think Jerome Powell is a doofus. Oh, boy. Why? Because I think he's trying to drive unemployment up. His own words. I think if somebody says, well, I'm going to try to increase interest rates to create pain in employment, you are automatically a doofus. Because the way to deal with inflation is not to drive unemployment down. That is a short-sighted and risky at best strategy. There you go. However, here's where we stand. Okay? High inflation is continuing to persist. We did not see a good inflation report. Even though we saw year over year it slightly dropped, we saw the consumer price index go up only by 1/10 of a point, I understand, but it didn't go down. Okay? So you see conflicting stories out there. They look like they're conflicting. They're not. You just got to understand that the media is trying to manipulate you. So again, folks, man of the people, I'm going to tell you what you need to know. All right? Here are the facts, not my opinion. None of this is my opinion. Okay? The annual pace of inflation, if you look at August last year over August this year, it did drop. It was 8.5% inflation last August, okay? And this August, it was 8.3. However, the consumer price index, right, well, what we are paying, and it measures our spending and buying habits, it went up 1/10 of a point. Specifically, here's what rose in the month of August. Rent, groceries, clothes, furniture, cars, and medical care. Even things like electricity, up. Okay? That's the reality. It's not good. So Jerome and the Fed, I feel like I'm on a first-name basis with him now. I should see if Jerome would come on the show. He probably won't because he won't like straightforward questions. But Jerome is concerned, and he should be. And so all the experts out there that are watching this are anticipating that we're going to see maybe a full point hike, anywhere from 0.75 or a full point. Okay. And many people, right now we're in the 2.25 to 2.5% range, and they're expecting it to go up to 3.25 to 3.5. And some are saying that the Fed will push the rate to 4.75% in 2023. So I'm telling you, folks, it's just a slow shift up. Just kind of pushing that lever forward. And they're doing it because they want to see the disparity in the job market where we've got, 6.5 million people unemployed and 11 million jobs available, 11 million plus. The numbers are kind of all over the place, right? But that's the range. And wages drive inflation. When you increase wages, it increased costs. I mean, this is economics 101. You don't even have to have a degree to understand that, you wouldn't think. I'm not the smartest math guy in the room, but I can look at these numbers and I understand what it means. It means costs are still high. All right. Now, next story, and I'm going to tell you what this means to you. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do with this information? I'm going to tell you. The stock market is not something that you need to be paying attention to other than the fact that you're watching the trends and you're seeing how the roller coaster is going up, going down. So when you see things like this and how it affects the stock market, you see investors pulling out, leave your 401k alone. I just want a quick asterisk. Leave it alone. It's a roller coaster ride. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. And when it's down and you continue your contributions, you're buying it at a discount. And then it's going to go up. And you need to relax and breathe and understand that the stock market is all about speculation, and the big money people, they're always going to keep playing ball. They may jump out for a season, jump back in. But if you look at the historical average return on the stock market, relax and breathe. Don't get all reactionary there. All right. Now, when you see that Powell is coming out and he's saying, all right, look, we got to do something about this. He's going, the higher that we raise the interest rate, this is the mindset. Okay. They are trying to make it more expensive for consumers and businesses to borrow. Therefore, they're artificially putting a lid on demand. So they're hoping that if we keep raising the interest rates, people will stop buying cars and other goods. And so we'll see a slowdown. And then when we see a slowdown of purchasing, then companies start to reduce costs because demand comes back. But here's the problem. We have TikTok videos that are soaring in popularity where you've got people literally with a giant smile on their face, holding their phone going, my car payment is $850 a month. Mine's $1,100 a month. Woo! And it's just this thing. It's like we just assume. And we have the average car payment in the United States right now is $700 a month. So if Powell keeps raising the interest rates in the Fed chair and the board and the whole thing, keep doing it, at some point, human behavior has to change. But will it? I don't have any faith in that. So here's what's going to happen. Okay? So he'll raise expenses for companies, and companies will go, we're going to go into a bigger recession, so we're going to start laying people off. And that's what he's hoping is going to happen. Lay people off, shrink the job market, and he wants to come at it that way. Instead of letting the free market deal with it on its own. Here's my point. At some point, consumers will start to go, okay, it's too much. And when they do, the demand will take care of itself. But when we drive unemployment up, that is making the issue worse. So what can you be doing? You're going, okay, Ken, they're going to keep raising interest rates, and that is going to hit me, and it's going to be a little bit painful. How do I protect myself? Very simple, okay? Number one, begin to reduce your spending. Reduce your expenses. If you've got debt, join Financial Peace University and begin to pay off your debt. Pay the debt off, then save money, and then stop borrowing. That's going to make you recession-proof every time, I promise. This is the Ken Coleman Show.
If the thought of attending a networking event makes you break out in hives, you're not alone. And I'll let you in on a secret. Networking in the traditional sense doesn't work, but genuine connection is all about relationships. That's why we created Networking the Right Way. This free guide is the low-pressure, high-impact way to overcome the awkwardness, build real relationships, and turn your connections into opportunities. To get the guide, go to kencoleman.com/network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. I want to just call out something that I don't know that I've got a solution, but this caught my eye during the quick break. Eric Hogan is watching the show live on YouTube, and he jumped in the chat room. He said, we need better solutions to help those with disabilities build good careers. I'm 48, deaf and autistic, and I've been struggling a long time. And my heart goes out to you, Eric. Thank you for watching the show. I could not agree more with you. I recently did some private coaching with a gentleman who was 39 years of age and autistic. His parents, he was living with his parents, and his parents are saying, hey, we're older. We've got to get you to be self-sustainable. He had a hard time holding down a job. So his parents paid for the coaching with me one-on-one. And it was video coaching, and at times I would bring mom and dad in and kind of get input with this gentleman. And there's no question that in his case, autism created some social anxiety and also created some social challenges, and it has affected him. And my heart broke as I coached him, because the fact of the matter is we had no problem discovering with him what he could do very, very well and how he could contribute. But the reality is there are some challenges. Then you take your physical disability of being deaf, although I will say, the ability to sign and captions and things of that nature, I don't think it really limits you that much. And I would say that we as a community here on the Ken Coleman Show, if you're in the chat room, you've got any kind of connections, any kind of insight as to how we can encourage Eric, let's do that. And then I would say, as leaders, we've got this employment gap right now. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, if I've got a job that can be done by somebody who's autistic, who may be deaf or have some type of challenge, I don't care what the challenge is. And notice I say challenge. I'm really sick of the word disability. I know some people that have disabilities get mad at me when I say that. I don't understand why. I'm not saying you don't deserve all of the support from our government and our local communities. And what I'm saying is I don't think you're disabled. I think you're differently abled. And I think you can still do something. I think you can do a lot. And I don't know why our leaders in business who are struggling to attract people, look, if you can hire an autistic person you put them in the right seat on the bus, they can absolutely be just hedgehogs and get it done. Who cares that they're a little awkward from time to time? How about we just tell everybody, hey, and let's make autism not something that we're ashamed of, but something that we go, I'm proud of this person. They have autism and it affects them this way and this way and this way, but they're still a freaking human being, which means they're invaluable, which means they can do great work, which means they can have tremendous impact, which means they still have a heart. They want to be loved. They want to make a difference. And I wish I had some solve. I don't. So I just wanted to rant for a second. To say, leaders, that's your job, is to lead and influence. Why don't you take a chance? Why don't you invest in someone who has autism but who can do a really great job? And then inform and engage everybody else. Let's stop putting them in a box and in a corner. And let's bring everybody else into the room and go, hey, he's got autism. He's freaking awesome. And he might say something weird every once in a while, but we're okay with it because you say something weird and we're going to be fine with that. I mean, what are we doing here? It's 2022. I don't know. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled program here. This is very interesting. Let's see. We got two different articles on the same thing here. Let's first start with this one. Okay, LA Times. California and New York could change how workers negotiate pay. What's going on? So you got the governor of California, governor of New York. Both are Democrats, if you aren't aware of that. They have bills on their desk, so they've gone through the state legislature, and they're sitting on their desk to be signed. By the time I'm talking about this, they may have already been signed. But what would happen is and this will have a ripple effect on our country, and we'll discuss whether it's good or bad in a moment. They're going to require companies to post pay ranges on job advertisements, right? So you go to company XYZ, you go to their website, and you see a job listed, and it would require that they put a range of what the income would be, okay? And if this were to go through, there is a decent amount of evidence out there that it's going to help a good amount of people, okay? Specifically, a decent amount of evidence that it would help women and people of color, and then particularly women of color, to be able to say, okay, this is the job, and we're going to post the range. So for that person who is applying for the job, they're informed as to what the range of pay is, and it's not all this big negotiation. They at least have a range. If these go through in both California and New York, that would affect 1 in 6 workers nationwide, and thus this is why the experts think there'll be a trend. Now, this will also potentially help women. Here's the data. Women working full-time typically earned about 83% of what men made in 2021. This is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In recent years, several states, including California, have moved to end some of the secrecy. And I don't like the usage of that word there, secrecy. I mean, I just think it's, depending on where you're at on this, it's not a secret. It's just it's a modicum of, it's modesty to go, we're not going to put it all out there for the whole world to see. Well, do you agree with that or not? I don't know that it's a secret, because at some point they got to offer someone a range of salary and an actual offer. However, several states like California has required companies to provide pay information during the interview process. Some have also moved to bar companies from asking prospective employees for their salary histories, which tends to lock people into lower pay from previous jobs. Experts and employment specialists say larger companies are likely to respond to the new laws by posting salary ranges for all jobs, regardless of where they are. Why? To simplify hiring. Zoe Cullen is an assistant professor of economics at Harvard Business School, and she analyzed data from the U.S. and studied 4 other countries. Now, this is very interesting, that adopted pay transparency, and found that these measures tend to close gender pay gaps, so that's good. Getting women closer to men on pay, that's good. It needs to be equal, in my opinion. But it found that overall pay declined by 2 to 3% for non-unionized employees. Employers are more likely to say no to raise requests if they know the salary will eventually become public, because they can argue more credibly that they will then face pressure to offer the same raise to other employees. And that's the part I do understand. And that's where this thing seems like, yay for everybody. We want everybody to know. But it has a ripple effect. So again, oops, I get excited sometimes and hit the mic. You know, it just happens. I get in this range right here, and it drives the production team nuts. Sorry, guys. So I'm not pro-employer on this. I want you to hear me say, I'm not. What I'm saying is that this isn't so black and white and really neat, right? Say, oh yeah, and we should know what the job pays, and we should know what each other make. It creates all kinds of reactionary decisions. Let me just give you a couple here. Pay transparency, according to an article from Harvard Business Review, can have unintended consequences. What are they? Well, it compresses pay. A recent global study of pay transparency involving employees in the U.S., the United Kingdom, and China suggested that once pay information is actually made transparent, the employee's immediate supervisor is the one that now has to deal with the potential fallout. So, for instance, a supervisor who may not have had any say in the company-wide policies now have to protect themselves because it's time-consuming and draining for them to address every employee's complaints and salary adjustment requests. So you know what they do? They reduce the differences in compensation with the same job level. So instead of one person is really crushing it, that could be you, friend, listen to me, you could be crushing it. And they'll reduce your pay because they're trying to make everybody equal so that there is no more, I'm asking for pay. Then what do people do? Another unintended consequence? They start negotiating for other benefits that aren't pay related. And then it still separates everybody. And it creates an ongoing negotiation, which creates disharmony.
Do you know what you were born to do? In order to get hired at a job you love, you need to get clear on your talent, passion, and mission. That's why our team created the Career Clarity Guide. In just a few minutes, this free tool will walk you through a process to discover what you do best, that's your talent, the work you love to do, that's your passion, and the results that matter to you, your mission. Then you'll feel more confident throughout the job search process. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/clarity.
The Ken Coleman Show continues. Thrilled to have you with us. Time for a coaching segment. By the way, if you're enjoying the show on YouTube and watching live, give us a thumbs up. We're growing like crazy there. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed and share the show. We're reaching a lot of new people who want to know what I think about the world of work, and they want to get ahead. And they're going, Ken, help me climb the ladder. And that's why I am here. Thrilled that you are. Las Vegas, Nevada is where we go. Is it Nevada or Nevada? I can't ever remember. I say Nevada. I think people out there say Nevada. So I'm going to go with that today. Melissa is there in Las Vegas, Nevada. Melissa, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Yes, definitely Nevada.
There it is, Nevada. All right. I am now forever reminded of that. I will say it right. Thank you, Melissa, for your patience with me. How can I help?
Hi. So I just have a question for you, and I'll start with my question, and you can ask me anything, I guess, if you need more information. But I have a boss, and we all have, we are the staff, and there's been a constant theme for quite a while from our clients giving us feedback about her demeanor, being very short, very bossy. I had an email with feedback saying that my client didn't like that she was being barked at. I had other feedback that said that some of my clients have witnessed her belittle and berate other employees in front of them, and that made them feel uncomfortable. And just this week alone, I've had to go on an apology tour with 4 different clients, trying to, explain and apologize for her behavior.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's either in my place to adjust something with her or kind of address the elephant in the room. I know she's been told this before, and her response is, well, this is how I am.
Oh, you answered my first question, which is how do you think she'll respond to it? And based on history, she's going to brush it off and just play the old, well, that's who I am, and deal with it. She doesn't care. Does she own the business, or is she a leader within this business?
No, it's a nonprofit, and she's the president.
Oh, so it's her baby.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. I wish I could be more positive right now, but I'm positive that nothing's going to change. So I don't know that I would tell her. But you could try. I don't know that I would. I'm going to leave it up to you. I guess it depends on, what your long-term play is and what you would like to see come out of it. The other thing is, do you think that she'll be reactionary and retaliatory towards you?
She is anyway.
Okay, great. Well, that's why I was leaning towards not doing it, because I don't feel like you're there for the long haul. Am I right or am I wrong?
I love doing what I do. I love working with the population that I work with.
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling and very satisfying. The only part that is difficult is that, you try to make this nonprofit grow, and I feel like it will never grow as long as she's at the helm.
By the way, you're right. But I don't know that you can do anything to change it. There's two ways to do this. You could say, hey, listen, I've gotten some recent emails from clients, and I feel like it's my responsibility to let you know what they're saying. I don't want in any way to put you on the defensive. I don't have to meet with you about it, but I feel like I need to share these emails with you. Would you like me to share them? You can see what she says. And you can do that.
So I have done that one time. I had a client who
how did she respond?
And the client actually copied her on the email, so she got it herself. Her response was, how are they raising people these days? They're all thin-skinned.
Right. So here, this is a woman who is incapable of receiving any kind of criticism, and she's going to deflect it. So no, I wouldn't share it, and I would begin to look for opportunities in your area, in the Vegas area, to work for organizations that are serving that same people group or doing something similar. Either that or you just bite your lip and deal with it. She's not going to change. So I really don't want to put you in a position to create any more tension than you already have to deal with, when I think it's a complete waste of time. It's like me driving down the interstate, sticking my head out the window and trying to spit into the wind. They ain't going to turn out really well, and I knew it was going to happen. I'd be looking to leave and serve those people in other places. Keep your chin up.
You were created to fill a unique role through your work, but it can feel overwhelming to figure out what that is. That's why I created the Get Clear Career Assessment. In just 15 minutes, you'll get customized results that clarify what you do best, the work you love to do, and the results that motivate you. All this helps you discover what you were born to do. And you'll get a list of professional possibilities to help you in your job search. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/assessment.
Hey, folks, I want to tell you about my friends at ZipRecruiter. If you've ever discovered something new and then you realize instantaneously that changed your entire perspective, maybe it's time for you to consider that it's up to you, and you need a new place to work where you can use what you do best, your talent, to do work you love, passion, to produce results that matter to you. Mission. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Ken. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Ken. It's a free resource, and they become your recruiter, and they start working on your behalf the minute that you sign up with a profile. ZipRecruiter.com/Ken. All right, this is fun. So recently, the production team, the entire team that serves the Ken Coleman Show, we were in one of our weekly show meetings where we discuss content, and we said, you know what, we want to get some more why I left stories. Right? Like, we want to hear the juice. We want to hear the ugliness. We want to expose the horrible bossery that is all over this nation that is pushing good people to leave. And so we've got our first one. Sarah is now joining us in Albany, Oregon. Sarah, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. How are you doing today?
I'm living the dream. And apparently you're doing much better now, I hear.
Yes. So much better now.
Okay, so this is fun. I want to hear your why I left story, so I'm going to kind of walk you through it, and I may interrupt if it's particularly juicy or I want to get more details. So first, what were you doing? What kind of work were you doing?
I was in healthcare administration.
And what was your role?
Like a front desk patient advocate type coordinator role.
Okay, take me to the drama. What happened?
Yeah, so I had been there 5.5 years and been promised growth and advancement that whole time. Kept saying, like, we have this role in mind for you, but it's not vacant yet, and we see you going here. And, I fed into all the promises. And finally, that person moved on, and it was time for that role to be filled, and I was really excited, and it kind of coincided with my review. And so in my review, my boss said, it's time. You've proven it. We'd love to have you move into this role.
Hey, Sarah.
Really
Sarah, do this for me. Move your phone maybe a little bit closer to your mouth.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Is that better?
Oh, stay right there. That's fantastic. Okay. So just repeat that last line. So the position that they kept promising finally came open, and pick it up from there.
Yes. Yeah. So it kind of coincided with my review, the timing. So in my review, my boss said, it's time. We'd love to have you move into this role. And I was really excited. I was, ready for that. I was off that Friday. The next Monday I came in. I was pulled into her office with a peer and my manager. And it had come out that the other person was interested too. And it came out in a really ugly way. And
what do you mean by came out ugly in that meeting right there?
Yeah, I was.
How was it ugly?
My character was questioned in that it had come out that I had said so-and-so isn't interested in this role as a means to cut her off from the opportunity. But I honestly thought she wasn't interested.
Well, who did you say that to, that she was not interested in the role?
My manager in my review.
Oh, okay. So the manager's now taking a conversation that happened in your review with her and using it essentially against you.
Yeah.
Oh, that is ugly. That's awkward.
And then she said, you both have to apply. Fine. That's fine.
Well, wait a second.
So then,
before we move on from the ugliness, so did your coworker bring this up or your manager brought it up that you had said she wasn't interested?
It got brought up in a meeting with the three of us.
I know. I'm saying who brought it up in the meeting? Was it your coworker?
My manager.
Oh, so she just straight out just outs you in front of your coworker. You told me that she wasn't interested. Kind of one of those deals.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Oh, my goodness.
Well, it gets worse.
Oh, keep going. Let's get to that part.
So then my manager opens the position, tells us, to look out for it. Some time had passed since that conversation, so I wasn't actively looking for the opportunity to become available. I figured, and maybe this is my fault, I figured when she posted the job, she would tell me because she knew I wanted it.
Right.
And my other coworker applied. I didn't. Then my manager closed the job. And then in the same breath came and talked to me and said, I just closed the job, but I saw you didn't apply. Why didn't you apply? And I was so mad.
So the reason you didn't apply is you thought you were going to get a heads up, and they just kind of posted it on the internal job board.
Yeah.
And you weren't sitting there. You weren't sitting around looking for it.
No, because it had been months at that point.
Right. Oh my gosh. So what did you say to that? What did you say to that? Were you able to speak?
Well, I was really shocked and mad, and I pretty much just said I didn't know that you had posted it.
Wow. So then what?
And that was that. Well, I went home for the day, at the end of the day, and I was talking to some family and friends about what had happened, and I wasn't really as mad until I talked to everyone else, and then they kind of informed me that that's not how good management behaves. And people who've been in manager roles said, if I knew an employee was interested in a job, I would tell them, So the next day, I worked up the courage to confront my boss because I felt that she had been favoring the other employee.
Oh, no question.
To get her to get in the position.
Right.
And so I confronted her, and she just said, I never said in your review that this job was yours. I never made any promises. I've been treating you fairly this whole time. I treat all my employees fairly. She pretty much denied any responsibility or any action in it.
Right.
And
just said, that's the way I post the job. I post it, and you're supposed to be checking.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird. I think the
weird.
whole thing got
weird.
The thing that went off the rails is where she calls you in and just puts you in a really awkward position with your coworker. It's extremely passive aggressive. Oh, it's your friend on top of it. Are you all still friends?
No.
Oh boy. So you lost a friend over it.
Yeah, I did.
Oh my gosh. So that conversation happens and she doesn't take any responsibility for it, kind of kicks the can back your way. And what did you do then?
I asked if I could go on leave. And so I went on leave.
Paid leave?
Yeah, paid leave.
And she granted that.
Yeah.
Ah, all right. So then what happened?
So, a couple months before this happened, I had, seen that my advancement was ending here and I needed a new opportunity. And so I was interested in transitioning into the field of HR.
Uh-huh.
So I had, a connection had connected me with a gal who started her own HR consulting business. And she offered to take me on in a remote position as a part-time employee to teach me, and so I could learn the field. And so I had that going as part-time in the background.
Good.
So, being able to, after I went on leave, I quit, but having that other position going kind of gave me something else to be doing in the meantime.
Right.
And that position turned into what I'm doing now. I'm a recruiter in HR. I was working for the company I work for now as an outside contractor.
Yeah.
And they loved me so much. They had an opening and they offered me a job. I didn't even interview. Isn't
that incredible? So now you've got, you basically have a company with a leader who just dangled a carrot in front of you for 5.5 years. Then you go to work for another company and they automatically promote you without you having to say anything. And Sarah, I'm so glad you shared that. And this is why we talk about working in a healthy culture that is defined by two factors. Number one, they develop people. There is a clear practice and intentionality to train and develop the people that they have. Number two, any company that is intentional to develop people, they will automatically do number two, which is promote people. Folks, this is not difficult to find out. As you're searching for jobs and looking for a place to land, do the homework. Do they develop people? Do they promote people? If they do, that's a good place to go. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.